the first thing you should do when you start learning Japanese, I think, is to learn hiragana. I think the first thing you need to do, it's going to help you so much in the future, is take the couple hours it takes, sit down, and learn hiragana. Now, the way I did it was James Hasig, who wrote the book Remembering the Kanji, super famous. Probably everyone here has heard about it at least once. And whether or not you like that book, his book Remembering the Hiragana is actually, I recommend it so much. I used it when I first started learning Japanese, and he uses the same sort of technique of using stories to remember each of the hiragana, and I memorized every single one within 3 hours. I was able to write every single one out. I spent 3 hours in one day, and it might have been 2 hour-and-a-half sessions. I'm not sure, but I had every single one down in 3 hours, and I'm not particularly amazing at memorizing things at all. But with that book, I was able to learn the hiragana in 3 hours. So there's very little excuse. Even if you don't like that, katakana, his descriptions for katakana weren't very good. So I just decided to learn it by rote, and I just wrote each one out while repeating the sound in my head or out loud. And that took me maybe 5 or 6 hours. So if you just sit down, at the most, like a half hour, even with a half hour a day, if you just learn by rote, it shouldn't take you more than 2 weeks. And yes, this is the thing. Dan says it solidifies with time, and the reason for that is because you see it everywhere in all the books you're studying. After you learn it, like, never write Japanese using Romaji again. Basically, every time you need to write out vocabulary, you should write it out in hiragana by hand, if possible. If not, on your phone or on your computer or whatever, writing it out by hiragana is just, it solidifies it. Every time you use it, you remember it a little more. Taylor Drew says, reading Romaji in my beginner textbook was such a pointless crutch. Yes, that's exactly it. That's the perfect explanation. It's a pointless crutch. I go back now and try to read Romaji, like, descriptions and stuff, and oh my god, it's so hard. Like, people were complaining about how hard an all hiragana sentence on Twitter was to read, but if they had written that in all Romaji, can you imagine? It would be, it's not what you want to do. So the first thing you should definitely do is learn hiragana. If you have any questions about how to learn hiragana, please feel free to ask in chat, in the comments if you're watching it on the replay. Ask in the Discord or on Twitter. I'm always happy to help. She has a story, says, so true. My biggest downfall was always writing in Romaji. Yeah, everyone does it, I think, in the beginning, because most beginner material tends to have Romaji. But I think most, if not all, people agree when they finally do learn hiragana that it is completely worth it. It also, a big thing, I said this in one of my other videos. The great thing about learning hiragana is it also helps a lot with pronunciation, because if you use Romaji, you have a tendency, or you might accidentally read a lot of the words out, like with an English reading, or whatever your native language is. So if I were to read the word, I don't know, hiragana, I might read it hiragana or something, right? Because I'll read it out in English. So hiragana. Do you want to use some hiragana? Oh, Kevin Abroad, how you doing? He says, Andy-san. Let's see. I got to catch up on chat quick. Can't do as times Taylor Drew. Definitely didn't remember as much vocab as I could have during the first year of my study abroad. For sure. I think it just helps in all situations. I'm at work on my lunch break. Oh, thanks for joining me on your lunch break. That's awesome of you. Thank you. Come to Japan says tunnel. No Japanese keyboard here. No worries. You don't have to write anything out. There's no exercises today. Just talking about some tips for people who are starting out learning Japanese, or who haven't been doing it for too long. And maybe some people will find something new even if you have been studying for a while. A1 Guitars and Gaming, good morning. Good morning. I'm sorry it's so early over there. I know you guys had daylight savings time, but I have work in the morning, so there's nothing I could do about it. So anyway, yes, definitely learn hiragana. Take the time. I know it's daunting to, learn a new alphabet, but it's not that bad, and it will help you with learning vocabulary. It will help you with reading, learning new words, and it'll help you with pronunciation a lot. Kevin Abroad, I definitely recommend learning hiragana before doing anything in Japanese. Yes, that is why it's number one, for sure. So jumping on to number 2, I don't remember what it is. Let's see. Learn some useful phrases. I did a video on this quite a few months ago now. It's probably not that exciting video, so I'm not going to link to it. But my first recommendation after you learn hiragana is to learn some useful phrases. And this goes for any language, I think, personally. If you're, let me preface this by saying that this is advice for if your goal is to speak Japanese, right? If your goal is to translate Japanese or to read Japanese, someone just subscribed. Thank you, Aurora9. I don't know if they're watching the stream or another video, but thank you. Always appreciate that. Where was I? Got totally distracted. Right. So if your goal is to just learn to read or to write or to translate, then maybe learning some useful phrases isn't necessary. But if your goal is to speak, it helps so much to just learn some quick, useful phrases, whether it's just hello, goodbye. I mean, there's a lot more that you can learn as phrases before you actually start focusing on things like vocabulary and how to write. And for some people, learning some phrases right at the beginning before they even bother learning hiragana might be the way to go. Let's see. Hey, Kevin. And it's so exciting once you're able to read hiragana. You feel badass. Yes, you do feel badass when you learn to read hiragana. It's like, yeah, just like when you can learn to speak a different language. Like, you can read something that 90% of the people you know can't read, and that's cool too. But yeah. Hi again, Kevin. Hey, yeah. All right. Everyone's here tonight. Thank you so much. Even though it's a Monday night, really appreciate it. So yeah, number 2 is learn some useful phrases. Whether it's like, there's tons of suggestions. I usually get a phrase book in whatever language I'm using, and learn a bunch of the simpler ones, so the ones that I think I could use right away. And I did some videos on those. I need to do a little bit better with those. I'm not sure if I like the format, but the reasoning is still solid. It's learn some phrases that you can use right away so that when you go out in Japan or you get on an iTalk lesson and you want to just speak right from the beginning, even before you started studying like vocabulary and grammar and whatnot, you can use those phrases right away. And it's a huge confidence boost, and it sort of gets you into the mindset of the other language. So definitely learn some useful phrases as quickly as possible. I know lots of people might think studying grammar first is better or studying vocabulary first, but this is just with my experience learning, this really helped me and got me excited to learn Japanese. I will say that most of the phrase books for Japanese are garbage. I had the Lonely Planet phrase book, and it was okay, but back when I first started learning Japanese, obviously I just started learning, so I didn't really have the criteria to determine whether or not it was good, except for people at bars who I was showing what I wanted to say, being like, what is this? I've never seen this in my life. And then I was like, okay, maybe this isn't so good. But I bought the new one recently just to help me in making videos. And there was some weird stuff in there. So I can't recommend many of the Japanese phrase books. But the good news is that there's a lot of set phrases in Japanese. Like, a lot. Like, when you first meet people, there's set phrases. Like, there's set phrases for everything. So learning these set phrases in Japanese, better than even in a lot of other languages, I think you'll be using them constantly. So even more reason to learn some useful phrases when you're learning Japanese as opposed to other languages. By set phrases, I mean things like "otsukare-sama desu," which is just like a greeting at work, and it's kind of like, you must be tired. Literal translation is, you are Mr. Tired, or you are Mrs. Tired. But yeah, stuff like that, right? And "yoroshiku onegai shimasu," which is, please be nice to me, is literal translation, but it's just what you say when you meet someone, or when you want them to do something for you, or when you're going to be doing something with them later and you just want them to be nice to you. Right on. So let's skip on to number 3 if nobody has anything to say about phrases. This one I think most, if not all of you, already do. But maybe not everyone. If you're on the replay, maybe you don't. Number 3 is get an SRS app you like and use it. I'd love to hear what SRS apps you guys are using. Personally, I used Anki well, when I started learning Japanese 7 years ago, I think that was the only one that was around. But I think, Kevin, do you use Anki? I'm not sure. I know a lot of people use a few different ones. I know recently Memrise has been really good. I started using that later on when I was studying Japanese, and there was a lot of cool decks and stuff there. But I still found Anki to be more customizable, and there was a lot more pre-made decks that I really enjoyed. Kevin says, yes, Anki forever. Yeah, I still like Anki. The best part about it is the PC app is free, and it can transfer your studies between your phone and the computer. The iPhone version is insanely expensive, but I still bought it back in the day. But the for some reason the Android one is completely free. So I still recommend Anki a lot. Personally, I always change the background of my cards to a dark blue, navy maybe, and then the words to like a sort of a dark or regular yellow, and that was really easier on my eyes than the normal white and black. But anyway, SRS, if people don't know, is spaced repetition. What is it? Spaced repetition. Holy crap. I don't remember what the second S is. Spaced repetition system? I don't know. Have it on my phone too, says Taylor Drew. Yeah, it's like 20 pounds on iPhone. Expensive, definitely worth it. I agree 100%. Best language learning investment because you can download software. Yeah. It's amazing. You can have sounds, you can have pictures, you can have GIFs and videos, and you can make your own, and you can download ones that people have already made. You can sell yours if you make them. Like, you can do whatever you want because you can download decks. Yes, absolutely. So I really like it. And if I ever learn another language, I don't even only use it for learning languages. When I was trying to write a book last year, I was trying to learn like new sentence structures and even English vocabulary. And I used it for that. And I've used it for like programming languages and just basically any kind of study. It's great when you have to memorize something. So find a spaced repetition system. Is it system? App? Software. Spaced repetition software. That's what the software question mark was. Got it. Thank you, Kevin. Awesome. So yeah, these things are great. What it does, in case anyone here doesn't know, is you make a flashcard and you review it. And if you get it wrong, the application or program or whatever, it shows it to you again in a certain amount of time, maybe 1 minute, 10 minutes, depending on the system. And then if you get it right, it will show it to you again in 1 day or however many hours you have it set to. If you get it right again the next day, it doesn't show you it again for a couple days. And if you get it right then again, a couple days later, it doesn't show you for like a week or something. And it just gets longer and longer and longer spaced out until you've got it memorized. Like, you're not going to forget it anymore. And this is based on a bunch of studies, I assume. I read a bunch about it 7 years ago. I don't remember right now. But anyway, this sort of takes out a lot of the wasted time that is involved with actually using paper flashcards, because if you use paper flashcards, you just end up reviewing them all, and there's lots of words that you don't need to review because you've already memorized them, but they're in your deck, and maybe you take them out because you already know them, but then 2 weeks later you might need to see it again, but it's out of your deck now. So this software just takes care of all of that for you, and it really helps. It was amazing for kanji, like using it for kanji. I couldn't have done it without it. I couldn't have learned 2,000 something kanji without that. And I ended up using it after that to learn like just everything else as well. I basically used it for everything. And that, I think, brings us to number 4, which is learn vocabulary in context. I'm going to take a water break. Everyone take a water break. Learn vocabulary in context. Now, this is one that took me a while to figure out, I guess. It's something I never really thought about. So I think that the traditional way of learning vocabulary is just to have the word and then the meaning. Now, I know in Japan there's all the vocabulary books for learning English. And even ones you get for the JLPT tests, it's just the word and then the meaning in either the meaning in English if it's a Japanese learner's book, or the meaning in Japanese if it's vice versa. And they're usually in this red, and you get this red card that covers the meaning, and you can only read the English word or vice versa. And then you take it off and you get the meaning in your own language, and that's it. You just memorize what it means. But I realized pretty quickly when I was learning Japanese that the words that I learned this way, I could rarely use correctly. Like, yes, I knew it was a noun or I knew it was a verb, but I'd never seen it in context, so I just ended up saying some really ridiculous things. And I ended up learning a lot of vocabulary that wasn't actually necessary. Like, when you learn vocabulary this way, you often end up with things you don't need. And in Japan, especially like high school level and middle school level, so I don't know, 13-year-olds and above, they learn so much vocabulary that they will never ever need to use in conversation. So maybe they'd see it in newspapers or in novels or on the news. And that's great too. Some people, that's all they want to learn languages for, and I'm fine with that. But my goal was to speak Japanese. And if your goal is to speak Japanese, you got to learn, you got to learn it in context and see if it's actually a word that is used when speaking, right? Okay. So, how can you do that? This is actually a little bit more difficult than it sounds, because you might get a word, like a single word that you want to learn, but then where do you get the sentences? And I have an answer for that. What I did when I was studying Japanese is I used, let's see if I can bring it up here quickly. I used jisho.org, and there's a hashtag that you can use in the search. Yeah, the examples in the sentence in the books that you buy here are terrible. And a lot of the example sentences in textbooks are either too, I don't know, basic or also not that great. So jisho.org has this thing where you can type in a word and then type, is this showing up, I wonder? Let's see. Yes, it is. You can type in hashtag sentences, and it scours the internet. And I think from what I've seen is most of them usually come from Tatoeba, which is a website that also brings up example sentences. But I have seen examples where the example sentences come from other places. So basically, the Tatoeba website only has the full kanji and then various languages translations. But jisho.org also has the furigana, so if you can't read the kanji yet, you can still sort of, get it. So what I did when I was making decks is I would type in a word here that I wanted to learn or that I had seen somewhere. Type in hashtag sentences. I don't even know whatever. Anyway. And then I'd look for a sentence that had mostly or all words that I already knew, plus the new word. So, for example, I probably, when I was trying to learn kakujitsu ni, when I was trying to learn that, I probably wouldn't have picked this first sentence. Konsen moyo to natta desu. I wouldn't have picked this sentence because it's too long, for starters. It's too long for a flashcard. And there was some words that even now I'm not exactly sure about, because let's read the English. The race developed into a free-for-all, but Shinomiya lapped the group and in the final stage steadily piled on points with good timing to achieve victory. It's a wonderful sentence, but not exactly what you need when you're new to learning Japanese, right? So let's see if we can find an easier one. Scrolling down. 彼の状態は確実に良くなった. So his condition has gotten steadily better. That might be okay. 確実に私の家に落ちるだろう. Be sure to drop in at my house. 落ちるだろう. I've never heard 落ちるだろう used that way. Interesting. Taylor Drew says the example sentences and translations of the book. Oh, yeah. You do have to be careful with online corpi as well, though. The largest one was a student project, and it's riddled with errors. Yeah, I mean, obviously you need to be careful. Some sentences aren't going to be good, and I know like a vast majority of the sentences I found in dictionaries and stuff are just, they're either bad or just not useful. But this is what I was able to find and what I used, and it served me okay. それでは確実に死ぬことになる. That means sure death. That's a good one. I probably would have picked that one, dropped it into a flashcard, and in the other side of the flashcard would have been 確実に or I might have highlighted it or made it bold in the first one and then have the meaning so that you could learn it in an actual sentence and see how it was used. The best way would be to actually search on Google, like the most sure way, and find actual Japanese blogs that have the words in. I was really into mountain climbing when I was learning Japanese. I still am, but I haven't gone that much recently. So I found a mountain climbing blog and I started reading it, and I would pull out words from there about mountain climbing, and then I'd pull the sentences in the actual blog, which was written by a Japanese person, and put them into Anki. And that was great. Like I actually know more vocabulary about mountain climbing in Japanese than I do in English. Like I'm not positive what to call certain things in English that at the time at least I knew in Japanese. I probably have forgotten most of it by now, but like there's words which are really cool for like walking along the ridge line between mountains. Like, is that Ryusen? Ryosen. Yeah, like stuff like that was really cool. Kevin Abroad said, sorry, I had to go AFK. I didn't know about jiso.org. Amazing. Yeah, use it. I mean, some of the sentences aren't going to be useful, but some of them might when you're trying to find sentences to use. All right, jumping back into the lesson ticker. We were on learn vocabulary in context. Yes. So I figured out why my voice gets so cottony when I'm streaming, and that's because I breathe in through my mouth. I've got to stop doing that. Sorry, guys. My voice is getting weirder and weirder, but number 5 is just learn. Yeah. Just learn. I can't see that kanji at all. Reisan? Ghost mountain? Spiritual mountain. Okay. Anyway, number 5, and this is the most important one, I think, is to use what you learn immediately, if possible, the same day. And this is for vocabulary. This is for grammar, for everything. Ryosen, yes, that's a ridgeline of a mountain. Is it walking on the ridgeline of a mountain? I don't know. I haven't used any mountain climbing Japanese in about 5 years, but at the time, I was really good at it. I was always shocking people in the mountains when I said what I wanted to do. Ryosen. It just actually means the ridgeline. It doesn't mean walking across. Ryosen. The one that you wrote is Ryosen. Yeah. Taylor Drew, getting to J is definitely where Anki became useful for me. I also bought an electronic dictionary, but obviously that's not practical for everyone. Who is this person who speaks to Andy? Yuki. That's Yuki. She's in some of the other. Here, pop your head in. She's in. Oh no. Well, we'll see you next time, Kevin. Every Sunday. It's Monday today, but I'll probably be doing more streams because in case you saw my recent tweet, my goal is to do 100 videos, 100 streams. I haven't set a time limit yet, but that's my current goal. So it's going to happen. We'll see you then. But have a good afternoon at work, at work. And thanks for coming. That's what I wanted to know, says Dan. And Yuki will eventually be on one of our streams. Yeah. So I have an idea for a stream that could be with the both of us. But at the moment, it's just me today. But she's still throwing bananas for everyone. There's a banana for you. Jana. That's a super casual way of saying see ya, Jana. Jana. Anyway. So yes, it's learn what you use. Use what you learn immediately. And if you don't live in the country, this is hard, I know, but iTalki lessons are not that expensive. There's a link to iTalki in the description. You don't have to use it. It's like an affiliate link. I don't know. I think I get free lesson points or something if people sign up using it. I'm not sure. I haven't used it in 5 years myself, but yeah, just so you're aware, it is that kind of a link. But I still heavily recommend it. I think I did like 100+ lessons on iTalki when I was using Japanese. 30 of them were in one single month that I quit English. That's another great way to learn languages in general, is just quitting. Oh, hello friend. Hello. Thanks for coming. It's Thank you. So yeah, where was I? Oh yeah, I did a month where I just quit speaking English, even at work, like only during my lessons, because I was an eikaiwa teacher at the time. Otherwise, I spoke to all my even English speaking friends, and like I used gestures if they didn't know Japanese, and my coworkers and everyone I knew in only Japanese for a month, and that was a huge boost. And I recommend that to anyone that's trying to learn a language fast. But that's not part of our recommendations today. The fifth and final recommendation is use what you learn ASAP. And that's whether you type it out in chat or you're talking to people or writing a journal or ideally speaking it. That's the fastest way to ingrain things in your memory, I think. It's especially for me with languages is use it out loud as many times as you can in as many ways as you can, like fast. So what I used to do was in the morning, I would learn new vocabulary and like a new grammar point, 2 or 3 grammar points. And then immediately afterwards, like immediately within 30 minutes of studying them, I would immediately get on an iTalk lesson, which I already had scheduled. That kind of pushed me to do the studying beforehand. And it was like a free for all. Not a free for all, but like it wasn't an established lesson. Like I wasn't asking them to teach me something in particular. It was just I was paying them to talk to me in the language. So I would immediately start trying to talk to them using what I had learned, and I would tell them what I had learned, and I would make some sentences up and say them to them and be like, was that correct? Usually they weren't, and they would correct them, and that not only helped ingrain the vocabulary or the grammar points into my mind, it also showed me immediately ways not to use it and ways to use it, so that I wasn't like ingraining poor habits with the words. Because if you just go out and are talking to people randomly, like even friends, they're likely not going to correct you. Like unless you have like a really close friend who you've told over and over again, like, please correct me. Japanese people in particular will not correct your Japanese. They'll just tell you, 日本語は上手ですね. 日本語は上手ですね. Yeah. And they'll say things like, 私より日本語わかるかもしれない. And that means, you probably understand more Japanese than me. And that's after you've only said, konnichiwa. So like, yeah, they're not going to correct you when you make little grammar mistakes or things like that. So I highly recommend doing like one-on-one lessons on iTalk or something. Just find the cheapest teacher you can. If you don't have a lot of money to do it, like you could even do language exchange, but just having someone who will correct your Japanese is just, it's incredibly helpful, especially when you're using something for the first time. So that is my 5 recommendations, my 5 tips to learn Japanese as fast as possible. Hello Friend says, I am trialing 2 iTalk teachers this Sunday before your lecture. Nice! Congratulations. Is it your first time using iTalk? Taylor Drew says, nobody ever corrects me, even when I can't find the word I want and explicitly ask for help remembering the word. Yes, it can be really frustrating. But that's why I end up learning, like I learned as quickly as possible how to describe words I didn't know using other words. And that's a really good skill to have, because if you say like, you know, like this word, right? What is that word? A lot of times they'll just be like, oh, this? And you can be like, yeah, maybe. And look it up later. But no, it's hard to get people to correct you. Yep, says Hello Friend. It's really fun. It's nerve-wracking at first, but I know I didn't really have any bad experiences in iTalk. I had one teacher who was kind of, I don't know, so-so, but it still wasn't a waste of time, I didn't feel like. So good luck. I haven't used it in a long time, but it's still the same idea, so it should be fun. Taylor Drew says, yes. Yeah. So, sorry, I really need to learn to breathe through my nose when I'm streaming. I just lose my voice immediately. But yeah, the iTalk lessons are really helping me. Like, even though I live in Japan, it's still really easy to never use Japanese. Like, you can get away with just pointing, and there's usually a really good expat community in the area, so you can get away with just having other foreign friends and Japanese friends who are interested in English and just never learn Japanese. I know I have a friend who's been here for over 10 years, and he still speaks like not even a word, like maybe just some really basics. Like, I don't need a plastic bag at the convenience store or something. Like, that's about it. No joke. Even after 10 years. So it's really easy to live here without Japanese. So, and a lot of people, yeah. So the point is even though I lived in Japan, I still used iTalki almost every day for months. Taylor Drew says, me trying to explain the word. Wow. Can I read that? I don't even think I can read that. After the typhoon. Table means? Ah, yeah. I actually saw that for the first time too. Table, the what the hell is it called? Along the river, right? Table along the river, the those things. The barriers or whatever. I can't remember what they're called either. But anyway, I saw that for the first time on an NHK Newsweb Easy website, and I was like, wow, there's still vocabulary in here that I don't know. Levy. Yes, levy. That's the one. I don't even know the English. My vocabulary isn't that great in English. Levy, yeah. Table. I had also never seen that word until the next day on NHK News. She has a story, says, I think I'm going to try iTalki. Yeah, definitely do it. I mean, or it doesn't have to be iTalki. I think there's lots of things out there now. But basically, like any Skype one-on-one type of lesson that you can do that isn't necessarily guided. Like, guided lessons are fine too, like using a book or whatever, but sort of having the freedom to pick a teacher and then tell them what you want to do is really nice, instead of just having a school or something that has all their lessons planned out. It's much more tailored to you. Whoops, I think I got censored. Hello. I have a private teacher, but I need more. Yeah, having a bunch is also great. It helps you learn different styles and different words. Yuki says, what's up? Yuki wants to become an iTalki sensei. I can help you with that. I think she'd be a good teacher. She's actually a really good teacher. Hello Friend says, whoops, I think I got censored. Yeah, that's been happening a lot lately. I don't know if it's like a new thing or it's been happening to a lot of people on my channel. Kevin got censored a bunch of times. I don't even think he was cursing. I'm not sure what it is, but just try and put a bunch of spaces in whatever word you were using that maybe got you censored and try sending it again. But yeah, trying a lot of people out until you get someone who fits. I know at the time, I kind of felt bad. The teacher I had, it was 1 hour lessons for like 500 or 600 yen, and I would buy packs of 10. Or it was 500 or 600 yen when you bought packs of 10. Like, that's less than minimum wage. I felt kind of bad. But I think she was just doing it for fun. Dan says, do it, Yuki. Do it. It's a really good idea. Hello Friend says, I've lived in Sweden for 6 years and I'm fluent in understanding, but I can't speak well. Uncensored. Because everyone speaks English. I see. Boom. I remember, have you guys ever seen the website Fluent in 3 Months? I used to read that back when before I came to Japan actually, so 9-10 years ago. And the guy, Benny, is it Benny? The guy that made the website or the brand? He was talking about how when he lived in Holland for a little while, he was trying to learn Dutch. Danielle, how you doing? Boom. You added a space, though. When he lived in Holland, he was trying to learn Dutch, but nobody there would actually speak Dutch with him because they just felt it was easier to speak English because everyone already speaks English. And it makes sense because, like, here, even if a Japanese person I know speaks English, if my Japanese is better than their English, oftentimes without even thinking about it, we'll just end up speaking in Japanese because it's just more comfortable. And vice versa is true as well. If someone's English is perfect, I'm probably not going to speak Japanese with them because it's just easier. Nope. If everyone hears my accent, they switch to English. Yeah. I think that's a big thing in in that area of Europe. People they already speak English, so why bother pushing through? Yeah, you'd actually have to make friends who are cool with the fact that you're learning the language and willing to sort of bumble through some, rough times until you get better at it. But that's what's great about iTalki and lessons like that online. So that should have been number 6. It was part of number 5, I guess, is use what you learn. right away, as quickly as possible. And feel free to use the Discord for that too. Practice sentences, practice grammar. There's chats in there. There's voice chat. So I'm sure eventually we'll get to a point where someone's in there happy to listen to people practice sentences. And of course, you can always practice live on the stream using the Discord. So that's great too. Next Sunday, we're going to be covering the rest of Lesson 4. Everything we didn't cover. We covered the past tense this past, was it Saturday? 2 days ago? Yeah, 2 days ago. So Sunday, we're going to be doing that. Sometime this week, I'm releasing 9 things I hate about working in Japan. I love Japan. I really like living here. It's very easy to live, but working here is a different story. I don't hate it completely, but there are 9 things I was able to think of that I really don't like. So that's going to be fun. I've also got a short lesson on the usage of small to te, which showed up in chat a few weeks ago. And yeah, so basically just some Japanese you can use really easily to express things you don't understand. And yeah, so that's it. That's everything that's coming. Taylor Drew says, you mean it isn't virtually everything? Wait, what did I miss? What isn't virtually everything? Everything about working here. It isn't virtually everything. Yeah. I mean, 9 things covers quite a bit. The 9 things I came up with, some of them are really broad. So like, well, I'm not going to give it away, but some of them are very broad and cover more than one thing, or like it's more of like this attitude that I don't like, or this cultural aspect that I just can't get used to, which affects a lot of things at work. So yes, I mean, if I could work for a foreign company and live in Japan, and by that I mean like online or something, I wouldn't even hesitate to do that. And I like my school mostly, but I talk about that a little bit in the video too, but working here is definitely, it's lackluster. And it's better for us than it is for actual Japanese people living here, and I feel bad for them every day, especially my coworkers and, well, Yuki. It's rough, but you know, some people find good jobs here. I can't say that all jobs in Japan are terrible. My friend worked at a private high school and the high school's focus was sports, so they weren't like academically super advanced or anything. So every day he would, like, in the beginning he came in around 8:30 and he would go home at 5, and then he realized that nobody really cared if he was there if he didn't have lessons, and he only had 2 per day, so 2 lessons per day. So time went on and he started coming in at 9, and he realized that if he didn't have a lesson until 11, he could start coming in at 10 and nobody cared. So he would go in at 9 or 10 and leave at 3 and go to the gym and then just never go back, and nobody ever cared. And he did that for years, and he would get a month and a half off in the summer, paid, a month off in the spring, paid, a month off for winter break, paid. And he was basically, like, during test weeks, which were quite frequently, he didn't have to come into work, paid. And if there was some kind of event, didn't have to go into work, paid. Like, so there are some wonderful jobs here, but they're few and far between. Dan says, I mean, I could come up with 9 things about work in the USA as well, maybe more. I've never worked as a real adult in Canada. I mean, yeah, you can come up with things to nitpick about working anywhere, right? If you want to complain, you can complain about literally anything, and I know that. But there are some things that are very unique about the situation in Japan and I think the target audience of this video is more people who are thinking of coming to work in Japan, but you know, want to see what the deal is before they come, because like nobody really tells you when you're applying for a job from home what it's actually going to be like working here. Like, they might tell you, you work a full 8 hours, it's like a real job, but it's more than a real job. There's a lot more going on here than just a regular 9 to 5 job. Hello Friend says, I'm not sure I can come up with anything about working in Sweden, but maybe it's because I'm used to American system, so it seems like paradise. Yeah. Over there in Europe, I would love to work over there. Even I heard Germany and a bunch of other places are quite a bit better than America. I only worked in America for a couple years, and it was okay. It wasn't much different than here, but I was like what was I? I wasn't actually an employee. I was like not temp, but kind of temp. What do we got here? Need an eye opener. Yeah, basically that. So working in New Zealand, on the other hand, but I was working like 60-hour weeks. But the difference was they paid you for every single extra hour you worked. So I couldn't complain about it. Like if I was working a 60-hour week, but they couldn't force me to work the 60 hours and they were paying me for it, it was hard to complain. Plus at like 3 in the afternoon on Fridays, my boss would bring in like a case of beer and pass them out, and we would just keep working until 5 and then go out after together. That wasn't bad. Can't really complain about that. I'm getting like all stuffed up. I think I'm getting a cold on stream. My nose has been getting progressively more stuffy since I started speaking. Awesome. So anyway, yeah, that's what I'm going to be talking about in that video, which I'm working on editing right now. Literally, that's what I was doing today. Some of you who have been here for a few other streams, I just have a question that's sort of technically related. It has nothing to do with Japan or Japanese. You may notice that the camera is right in front of me today, like right there. And before it was kind of over here. Do you have a preference? Should I do a poll? Can you do polls on stream? That would be pretty awesome. I think I can do a poll. I can totally pop a poll up. I'm going to pop a poll up. Let's do it over here. I'm going to put a poll up if I can figure it out. Here we go. Cards. Add card. Poll. Straight on camera or side. Straight on side, from the side. Please tell me if this pops up as a poll on your screens. That would be awesome. So anyway, just created a poll. Right now I have the camera right in front of me because I got a different kind of tripod, and usually it's off to the left. Not sure which is more visually, if this is distracting, or especially when I'm doing the lesson. Just want to do what is most whatever. Anyway. Nobody seems to have any comments, so I'll just do what I'm doing. So yeah, thanks for coming tonight, guys. I don't really have anything else to talk about, but if anyone else has any questions or comments or requests or anything they want to complain about, Dan says, pop a poll up. Say that like 5 times fast. Pop a poll up, 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 pop a poll up. Do I get something for that? Vide. I like straight on personally. All right. I like it because it's easier for me to set up. I got a new Gorilla Pod, a bigger one, and it's just easier. I never have to change the thing on the bottom of the camera, so I can do more videos faster. Maybe. I don't know. Anyway, thanks, Vide. Appreciate that. And thanks for coming, everyone. Taylor, Dan, hello friend, Vide, earlier Kevin and Danielle, and She Has a Story. A lot of you guys are on Twitter. Thanks for always talking to me on there. It's always great. And thanks for coming tonight. Yeah. So next week is Genki lesson 4, the rest of it. And the following week is just Genki. So I'm going to do more things like this, and hopefully we can hang out more. She Has a Story says, thank you for the live and tips anytime. Happy to help. I hope it is helpful for somebody. If you're watching this on the replay and you're still here, that would be surprising, but amazing. Don't forget to subscribe if you've made it this far. Why not? Hit the like, hit the thumbs up, guys, if you enjoyed tonight. If you didn't enjoy tonight, the thumbs down is fine. That's engagement, right? I don't mind. So yeah, the thumbs up, I don't know if it helps. It might, so why not? Let's get 1 million thumbs up. There's 1 million bananas from Yuki, so see you on Sunday. Yeah, see you on Sunday, hello friend. Thank you. Dan says not seeing the poll. Maybe that only shows up in the actual replay? I don't know. I'll check it later. Come to Japan says, but I like this angle. Sweet. Yeah, it's easier to just look right at you guys. Is it like anyway. I'm lost. Have a nice banana. Thank you, Yuki. So anyway, I will see you guys next time. I'm going to sign off for tonight. Have a great day if you're not here, or if it's daytime there, and have a great night if you are over here in Japan or like Danielle down in Australia. And I will see you next time. Remember, if you want to learn to speak Japanese, speak it. Have a good night. Later, guys.